Hello and welcome to the second episode of my review of Suburban Knights. Now, one thing you guys should really know is that most That Guy with the Glasses fans don't care about things like structure, narrative, character development. They just want to see their favorite reviewers interact. So let us get into what we all really want to hear about. How well do each of these reviewers / actors / characters do? Are they funny, unique, dynamic, whatever? Well, in general, the movie has a lot of instances where characters just have to stand around or walk or fight. Kick-Assia actually developed a few of its characters, and all, or at least most, of them had a part to play in that film, even if it meant that they were playing a flagpole. Suburban Knights is a letdown in that regard because most of them have very little to do. But how well do they do that? The nostalgia critic plays Link if Link was the nostalgia critic, so he's pretty much being himself. He gives himself the most material as well as the best lines, which I'm not criticizing him for. After all, it is his movie. While he does have the tendency to go too over the top at times, I always enjoy his performances. He seems natural at being hammy, and he's even funny when he's being dramatic. There's a dedicated yet mock sincerity to his performances. Sort of reminding me of Garth Marenghi from Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. In fact, that also has actors playing characters. I just think Doug's a natural comedian, although sometimes his own material works against him and he doesn't give himself as much ado as he did in Kick-Assia. Angry Joe is playing Inigo Montoya from Princess Bride, and like the critic, he's pretty much just playing himself. Unlike the critic, however, he doesn't get a lot of good material. I liked Joe's freak-out scene early on, but his running gag about flubbing this line got old about 10 seconds before he actually started it. With that said, I find Joe's over-the-top antics amusing, so he is passable. And I always felt his line delivery was good, in fact, probably one of the better ones of all that crew, and in contrast to some of the others, he actually probably works better when playing off other people. Spoonie plays Gandalf, and while the impersonation is definitely good, he only made me laugh once in the entire movie. And that's when Spoonie suddenly breaks character to teach some baddies how to roleplay. Otherwise, he did nothing for me, and the jokes at his expense were predictable. He also plays some other roles, but they were kind of annoying. He was definitely better in Kick-Assia. Linkara represents another major fault. If you don't understand what is being parodied, you will not get the joke. Kick-Assia at least parodied conventions, while Suburban Knights parodies actual films, or in some cases, the reviewer's interpretation of said films. Linkara is playing someone's variation of King Arthur, and while he does seem comfortable in the role, he just never really made me laugh, because I haven't seen the movie. The nostalgia chick represents another major fault with the running gags in general. She plays Arwen, and her Arwen montage gag actually starts off funny, but then starts to wane in subsequent uses before eventually becoming annoying. Luckily, in contrast to her early scenes in Kick-Assia, she at least seems to be having fun. Benzai, who plays Conan, made me sad the most. Of all the muggers, he's usually my favorite. Whereas Joe can be annoying if he goes too over the top, Benzai only seems to get funnier with it. His facial expressions are just awesome. So for some reason they decided to have him parody a guy who has one facial expression, completely ruining what I like about Benzai. He doesn't even really get any notable scenes until the very end, being a non-entity throughout most of the movie. He's completely wasted, which is a shame because I always like to see him appear with other reviewers. He has this odd gag in part 1 where he randomly pops out between a guy's legs. Is that a desperate attempt to do something with him? Or the other solution is that Benzai just happens to do that to people. Yeah, I can actually totally see that. I really liked Sage in part 1, where his only 2 notable scenes were among the highlights of the whole episode, but he just sort of becomes an extra after that. He plays Aslan from Narnia, but is underused. Phelous plays the Rockbiter, playing,
"Well, my little friends think I look good, don't you? These are my little friends. They've come to help stop the nothing. Say hello to my little friends."
Me? Okay, well this is totally... me?
I said say hello.
Hello, Nabbit Optics.
They'll be watching you.
Why didn't you tell me this was going to happen? Honestly, I like Phelous as the straight man. I don't like to see him playing me with his better acting skills, better joke delivery, and all-around better talent. Fuck you, Phelous. Fuck you.
He's funny, but if he said big strong hands one more time, I would have shoved them up his ass.
It's not supposed to make sense. That was a stupid joke, Space Godzilla.
Mars Girl plays Princess Mononoke, another spoof I'm not familiar with. She doesn't get a lot of funny lines, although she does get more focus here than usual. She speaks Japanese, and I think it's authentic. I will give her this. This is probably the only time in these anniversaries I felt she really stood out. So I guess that's a plus. Luke plays Harry Potter and is mainly there to suck up to the nostalgia critic, pissing off Film Brain. His acting isn't bad, but he doesn't have many jokes either. This is another fault. In Kick-Assia, the guys who didn't appear in previous anniversaries got more to do, and in some ways were able to steal the show. Here, none of the newbies get any more to do than anyone else. I'm not sure I'd watch any of these noobs based on this movie. Film Brain also plays Harry Potter and actually does it better. For some reason, I think Film Brain's more amusing in these movies than in his own reviews, and his facial expressions here range from scary to funny. He gets a surprisingly big role here too, but unfortunately that comprises of most of the film's padding.
And that is it for this video. In a few days, a part 2 should be up, and that will finish off my discussion of the other reviewers playing characters. My name is Marshall Harr, and I'm here to tell you that those who cannot do, critique.